We want them to practice and produce spiritual giftedness and spiritual fruit. In other words, we want them to know God has blessed them to be a blessing, and we want to see some spiritual fruit, which means we need to ensure that they know they have a spiritual gift, and we need to help them use it in the world. Now, that's just spirituality. Let me cover two more of these, and then we'll throw it out to you. Sex. Sex is a big one. It's a big one for all Christian families, I would like to think. We want them to be a virgin upon marriage. I think that's a swell goal, don't you? Mm-hmm. We want them to have a healthy concept of how to treat and be treated by the opposite gender, and we want them to know how to make a good selection of a lifelong spouse. Now, that last one's a big one, because what it is meant for us is to say, and I was raised this way. I was looking at my 35th high school reunion, which was just last weekend, and I got blessed with an opportunity where I didn't have to go. And so I was looking at all the pictures. They put all the pictures up on Facebook of all. And I looked down. I said, "Look at this picture." I said, "There's 5 girls in it, and I've dated 3 of them. They got 8 husbands between them." That was my life. I just dated, and you could say, practice for divorce, practice for divorce, practice for divorce, practice for divorce, which is what I think dating is. Mm. So, for me and my family, we're not going to practice divorce. For me and my family, there's a long history from the time, we can go all the way back, biblically or otherwise, where dating just wasn't happening. It started in the 1920s in America. Pretty much dating, let's pair off, let's go be alone, let's go to the movies in a car alone. That whole thing, it wasn't always done that way. And so we've had to decide, are we willing to stand in and say, no, we're not going to do the dating thing. There's something called courtship. We believe in courtship. That is, families kind of marry each other. And families are very much a part of one another's life. I've got a son that kind of decided, I think that girl over there is someone I probably need to be taken more seriously. He came and talked to Dad about it. We talked to Mom about it. We said, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So what are you going to do now, son? He said, I'm going to do what you told me to do. I'm going to go talk to her dad. So they go and talk to Dad. He says, I just want you to know, I don't think I'm really ready for marriage yet, but I have an interest in your daughter. Just want to be bold and tell you that's the deal. So they talked about it a while, and of course he's excited about Elijah. And so there we go. And so now they get together, but pretty much when they get together, other people are around them when they get together. And the families are largely around them when they get together. There's a long continuum of how you do this thing. We don't mind, on the whole, that they would be together without our presence, but some courtship says never together without family presence. I get that. We're not there. We probably won't be there, but I get it. Had a kid that was kind of starting to hone in on my... by the way, we have no idea where that will end up. They're intending to spend time together for the purpose of marriage. So not fooling one another. We're not dating. We're not playing around with this thing. We're intending for marriage. But they're not going to be sure of it until there's a ring on the finger, right? So, got another one. My daughter had a kid. It was a couple years ago. She was a sophomore, maybe. Had a kid kind of honing in on her. Kid goes to our church. Love the kid. Good kid. Love the family. Good family. He's kind of like one of the family, actually. But I kind of got in on this late. And someone told me, you need to maybe talk to Hannah about that guy. I said, well, maybe I ought to. Okay, I will. So we all went to the abortion clinic together. Me and this kid and my whole family. And he's along with it. He's in the car with me. And I said, everybody out except you. He stayed in. You can tell he's already sweating. I said, hey, I understand you got a little interest in my daughter. He says, yes, sir. I said, when exactly were you going to tell me about this? You can tell my kid's just dying over there. Starting to hyperventilate, sweating. Well, I'm serious. Don't do that. You talk to me first. Now I got a question for you. He says, yes, sir. He says, are you ready to marry her? He's junior, maybe in high school. He says, no, sir. I said, then you stay away from her. Now, that's qualified. You and she are going to be together in youth group. You're going to be together around her, and I love that. Get to know her better. That's okay. Because I got to tell you, pal, you're the kind of guy I wouldn't mind having for son-in-law. But you do not touch her. You're never to be alone with her. If you ever want to communicate with her, you can get a hold of me.
That's good.
So that's where we stood on that deal. Now, I don't get the opportunity to do that with my sons because they're the pursuers, so to speak. I'm Hannah's daddy. And I get to call that shot. So she's versed. You got to go through dad to get to her. This is going to be a real challenge. She's going to go to Asbury next year. And we've got to be on the same page at Asbury. You know, just no one who wants to spend time with you gets to spend time with you. Come through dad first. And you're going to say, man, that's kind of heavy-handed. Okay, so what's your point? That's my girl. And I'm responsible for who she marries. I am responsible. I am her covering. Now the day that I give her up and walk away, that other guy, whoever he is, becomes her covering. But until that moment, I am her covering. And I intend to take that very seriously indeed. I'm amazed how many Christians have not even given a second thought to dating. They just do it because that's the way the rest of the world does it. Not happening. Not in my family. You say, I got a problem with what you do there. Fine. Have a problem with it. Write your own list. That's the point here. That's my list. I think it's biblically congruent. I think it makes plenty of sense with Jesus. If you think something makes more sense, put it down on your list. Act how you want to act in front of your kid. If you want them to date, have them date. I think you're crazy, but if that's the way you want your list to look like, go for it. But you've got to have an idea about what you want. And if you're going to wait until she's age 16, you've waited too long to decide on this issue. I think if you're going to do the courtship thing, like I've just described, she probably ought to be very convinced of that by about age 8. To where before she ever hits adolescence, and any boy around her hits adolescence, she knows exactly what's supposed to happen with who approaches her and how they approach her. Goes through dad. So I, by the way, told the kid, you're not to touch her. You go through me. And you're the kind of guy I wouldn't mind having marry my daughter. But you know and I know it ain't the time.